Am I creating for myself or for others? It's a question every creator asks at some point. For some, it's all about the audience.
I mean, I've always felt that I make films for audiences. I mean, I really don't make them for myself.
For others, it's a personal journey.
I don't ever do that. I only make it for me.
I've always made my movies for me anyway, all right? I make them for me and everybody else is invited.
But Alejandro González Iñárritu takes this idea even further.
Well, I think as a species, we have to look at each other. I think if I will say, if tomorrow atomic bomb finishes the humanity and I'm the only one staying alive, I will make a film?
He's not just asking who we create for. He's questioning if creation even matters without someone to receive it. It's a powerful thought, and it's got me thinking. And so in this video, I want to dive into why we feel this pull to create. Is it about sharing a part of ourselves, finding meaning, or simply being seen? It's totally natural to want others to appreciate our work, to feel that what we've created has value beyond ourselves. But if we lean too much on external approval, we might find ourselves spiraling into uncertainty and self-doubt. Why does this happen so often for creators? Maybe because creating, whether it's art, music, film, or writing, is such a vulnerable act. We're putting a part of ourselves out there, exposing our ideas, feelings, and perspectives, and the response, or lack of one, can impact not only how we see our work, but also how we see ourselves. This inner conflict often takes the form of a voice, that persistent whisper questioning our choices and abilities. But what if they don't like it? What if it sucks? What if it's not good enough? It's a voice that can drive us to improve, but can also hold us back with self-doubt. Why am I doing this? Is this just to show off? To prove I can make a good video? Is it just so people can comment and tell me how talented I am? Am I chasing likes and validation? Maybe this whole thing, this video essay, is just about feeding my ego. Look at me, I'm a filmmaker. I can tell stories, I'm different, I'm special. In Alejandro González Iñárritu's film, Birdman, this struggle plays out through Regan Thompson, a former movie star known for his superhero role Birdman. Regan's trying to reinvent himself as a serious actor, directing and starring in a Broadway play, hoping to escape his reputation as a washed-up celebrity. But at every turn, he's torn between wanting to create something meaningful and getting caught up in the need for fame and approval.
It's about being respected and validated, remember? That's what you told me!
Throughout the film, Regan is haunted by the voice of his former superhero persona.
You tower over these other theater douchebags. You're a movie star, man. You're a global force. Don't you get it?
This voice isn't just a reminder of his past fame. It's the embodiment of his deepest insecurities and desires.
That clown doesn't have half your talent, and he's making a fortune.
For many creators, this voice is a constant companion, both motivating and toxic, pushing them forward while feeding their insecurities. Rewatching Birdman for this video, I realized that this voice, the Birdman character, is almost a literal representation of what's called the shadow self in psychology. Carl Jung described the shadow as the parts of ourselves we try to hide, the fears, flaws, and desires we push away or deny. Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. In other words, the more we deny these hidden parts, the more they control us. The idea of a character confronting their shadow, or ghost, is common in storytelling. It's a past trauma or event that haunts them, influencing their actions and inner conflict. Usually, it operates beneath the surface, subtly shaping the protagonist's decisions and growth. But in Birdman, Regan's shadow is made literal through his Birdman alter ego. Regan just wants to leave Birdman behind. He can't accept that it's still a part of him.
What are you doing?
I don't want to look at this anymore.
But by ignoring this side of himself, his craving for attention and fear of being irrelevant, he's only making things worse.
We should have done that reality show they offered us.
He keeps telling the voice to shut up.
Shut up. That would have been good.
Shut up.
Trying to push down his need for validation. But like Jung said, what you resist not only persists, but will grow.
A sad, selfish, mediocre actor.
The more he tries to ignore Birdman, the louder it gets. This denial pushes Regan to act out, strains his relationships, and blurs the line between reality and illusion.
What are you trying to prove? That you're an artist? Well, you're not. Fuck you!
By trying to present himself as a noble, authentic artist, he's rejecting a core part of himself. This facade, doesn't erase his desire for fame and recognition. It only intensifies it.
There's nothing we! There is no we! I'm not fucking you! I'm Regan fucking Thompson!
He's trapped in a cycle of denial and desperation, constantly seeking approval, yet never feeling fulfilled. But why does he crave validation so much?
You know I'm proud of you, don't you?
The movie gives us a hint in this scene.
You said in the interview your father was a drunk like Carver. Is that true, Mac? Is that true?
No.
Because my
what?
father was. My father was a mean fucking drunk. You understand?
Okay.
He beat the shit out of us. That was okay, though, you know, because at least when he was beating us, he wasn't thinking about taking it.
In this intense moment, Regan shares a painful story about his father with his co-star,
That's fucking horrible, man. Sorry.
but then laughs it off as great acting to impress him.
Also not true. See, I can pretend to.
But it feels genuine, like he's revealing real trauma without fully admitting it. This glimpse into his past shows why fame matters so much to him, and maybe this is how his shadow formed, from the emptiness left by the lack of love and approval. And now, he's trying to fill that void with applause, hoping it will make up for what he missed out on in his early life.
What do we talk about when we talk about love?
Are you okay? You seem, I don't know, you seem abnormally calm.
Jung believed that acknowledging and integrating the shadow is crucial for personal growth. Towards the end of the film, there's a pivotal moment when Regan admits to his ex-wife.
You know, I've got this little voice that talks to me sometimes, tells me the truth. It's comforting. Kind of scary, but it's comforting.
This admission is a turning point. By acknowledging the voice, not as an enemy, but as a part of himself, Regan takes a crucial step towards self-acceptance. But beyond the psychological aspect, what does Birdman say about our core question? Do we create for ourselves or for others? Birdman doesn't give a direct answer, but Regan's need for recognition shows that he's creating to be seen. And by finally acknowledging his craving for validation and fear of irrelevance, he finds a fragile sense of peace. But this brings us back to Iñárritu's question. If you were the only person left alive, would you still create? Would art, music, or writing matter if no one else was there to see it?
Do I will make a film to see myself? I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think the bottom line, we are made to communicate and to express.
Art has always been a kind of conversation, a way to connect. Without anyone to share it with, it feels like talking into a void. But maybe creating goes deeper than that. Even in solitude, creating might be about understanding ourselves, a way to bring order to our inner chaos. Maybe it's a way of saying, I'm here, I feel, I think. Think about it. When we're alone, don't we still jot down thoughts, hum a tune or doodle? These little acts of creation aren't for anyone else. They're just for us. They help us make sense of our experiences, bring comfort, or simply pass the time. Maybe, even if we were completely alone, the drive to create would still be there, not to communicate, but because it's a part of being human. This idea reminds me of Paterson, a Jarmusch film about a bus driver who writes poetry in his free time. Unlike Regan, who is consumed by his need for external validation, Paterson finds fulfillment in the simple act of writing. He doesn't write for fame or recognition. He writes because it brings him joy and helps him connect with his own experiences.
Please, please make some copies. You know that your poetry is really, really good. And someday you might just decide to let the world get to read it.
Paterson keeps his poems in a small notebook and only shares them with his wife, Laura, who constantly encourages him to publish his work or at least make copies. But he's content just keeping them for himself, capturing little pieces of his day-to-day life, each poem reflecting the subtle nuances of his experiences. Even though Paterson writes just for himself, his poetry sometimes bridges him to others. In one scene, he meets a young girl who also writes poetry. She shares her poem with him, and Paterson is genuinely pleased to connect with someone who shares his passion. However, there's no ego, no competition, just a simple, pure exchange of creative expression. It's a moment of shared love for creating, with no need for recognition. But later on in the movie, when his dog, Marvin, destroys his notebook, containing all of his poems, losing it feels like a loss of something deeply personal. It's like losing a piece of himself. He goes for a walk to process this, and by chance meets a Japanese poet who gives him a fresh notebook, gently encouraging him to keep writing. The movie ends on this gentle reminder that art isn't really about finishing something or having a physical product. It's a journey. It's about the act of creating, not about getting recognition or making it last forever. Paterson may have lost his poems, but his creative spirit is still there. He can still find beauty and keep creating. So maybe the true essence of art isn't about who sees it, but about the joy of creating it. Maybe making something, anything, is a fundamental part of being human, a way to connect with ourselves and the world around us, even when no one else is watching. But is it realistic for most of us to be like Paterson? Many creators might find themselves somewhere between Riggins' intense need for external connection and Paterson's quiet contentment. Maybe the key lies in finding a balance. Filmmaker and Pixar's chief creative officer, Pete Docter, offers an interesting take on this.
I'm not making these movies for me, I'm making them for you, for the audience. And so you want to be aware of how people receive stuff. But I also feel, and I've told the directors that I get to work with, I think our job is to know better than the audience what they will like. I kind of think of it a little bit like I'm handcrafting a present for my friend for Christmas. And I want them to know that it's from me, but I want them to really love it. So what kind of gift will that be, and how do I craft this and tailor it so that it's well received, is kind of the way I look at it.
But later in the same interview, he says,
the primary audience in my head is me, which is completely contrary to what I said earlier. I recognize that. But I guess what I'm thinking is like, okay, I know from experience this is going to be 4 or 5 years of my life. I want to have something that I'm looking forward to working on every day and something that I can explore.
So for him, creating is both personal and a way to share with others. It's not just about making something for others to see, it's also about discovering something within himself. It's a way to understand ourselves while sharing that journey with others, and maybe, most importantly, it's a journey full of discovery.
It's taken me like 25 years of work to figure this out, but making movies is a discovery. If I know exactly what I'm doing at the beginning, I think the movie's going to be dull. I think I have to allow for a process of learning and discovery within myself that the film brings out. So in making the movie, by the end, ideally, I am able to say something that I would have never understood at the beginning.
So creating isn't just about the final product. It's about the growth and self-reflection that happen along the way. I feel the same way. Before starting this video essay, I didn't know where it would take me, but the process of making it helped me uncover new insights and understand myself better. It's both a personal journey and a way to connect with others who might feel the same. So maybe that's the real value of creating, discovering ourselves piece by piece through every work we make. In the end, creating is deeply human. It's personal and shared, selfish and selfless. Like Riggin, I wrestle with the need for recognition. Like Paterson, I find comfort in the act itself, in those quiet moments where it's just me and the work. But then comes the thrill of sharing it, wondering if it'll connect with someone else, spark a thought or an emotion. We don't have to pretend the audience doesn't matter. In fact, denying that, like Riggin, only leads to frustration. It's okay to want connection. It's part of being human. Whether it's for ourselves, a few close friends, or the wider world, creating something new always matters. It's how we connect, reflect, and grow. Hey guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.